Alright, hopefully everything's working here. Got the tools laid out. Got the guinea pig ready to go. First step, gain access. What? Brian, you didn't put your rubber washers in there? What's the matter with you? Got one on this side. To start with a disclaimer, I'm not a YouTuber, so if this looks really ridiculous, I'll edit it out. Alright, 8mm, get the seat off. For the last time, hopefully, this way. Should have used power tools for the sake of speed. Yeah, long-winded little sucker. This is sitting cockeyed, which, you know, details. Alright. Pull the seat. Place to set it. Alright, basically all we need is a hole right here. And if you look, there's some mold marks here that you can use to center up where to put that hole. They're easier to see from the back because there's some ribs under there. I didn't do that when I did mine, and plus I was drinking a little bit, so that's why mine come out a little off center, but I fixed it when I reamed the hole out bigger. Anyway, we need a 10 to take out these two bolts. Okay, his were really loose. Mine were like welded in. Chinese quality control. And hopefully my video editing skills will kick in and I can fast forward through some of this stuff. Alright, you just leave that little guy laying in there. You need to carefully pop these off. They're a bugger to get back in as it is, but if you rip one off, you'll never get it back in, so pop these little dudes. Beverage. 8mm. Take out these 10. Whoops. Alright, so that bolt, no, it didn't break. Never mind, I thought it broke off. I was thinking those were longer. Not used to performing on camera. Y'all are making me nervous. Quit watching. Now the reason we're going to pull this off first before we go to drilling holes, even though you can see right where to drill it from here, you wouldn't have to take this apart other than to put the latch together, is all these wires that we really don't want to drill holes in. So the trick is to kind of reroute these, and they really got creative on these ones. We're going to reroute these, get them untangled from each other, so that we can try to kind of zip tie them over to the sides, so that we're not drilling holes in these guys. These turn signal wires you kind of tuck up behind there, get them around these bolts. Oh wow, they squished his taillight wiring. I guess that would be for the license plate light. Wonder if his license plate light works. No, it doesn't. Imagine that. Huh. We'll fix that while we're in here. Okay. Yeah, man, they did a number on that guy. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera here and go have a look-see. Make sure the camera angle's working and all that good stuff, and kind of divvy this up into some clips so it's maybe a little easier to edit. Alright, so the basic idea is we're just going to route these wires. I'm going to try to get them over to the side where they will be out of the way of the latch when we're done with it, and out of the way when we're drilling. I went ahead and cut this zip tie off here. But we want to keep them in this little tray for obvious reasons. We've seen what happens when they don't stay in there. They get into trouble. So we're going to want them right about there. Okay, yeah, we can tie them to the sides when we're done now. They'll stay there good enough to stay out of the road as long as we're careful. Okay, so next step, this little guy. Go ahead and take that metal piece out. Where we want our hole is right about there. Hopefully that's showing on the camera. But I think I'll do it on this one. Just going to use this little drill bit first and try to get a pilot hole where I want it. Kind of look at those little ribs, and this doesn't have to be 100% precise to work. And I'm thinking we're going to want it right about there. Drill slow when you're drilling plastic, otherwise it just melts it. It doesn't really cut it. Alright. Yeah, we got a tiny bit off. It'll be okay. Alright, next step, well, we've got that drill bit in. I do believe it's a 5/32. It's going to be the same size as these roll pins. Same size as these holes in this pin. This one, I didn't do this on mine either. I'll probably end up going back and doing it. But we want to put a little hole. This could be tricky. Might have to get the drill press. We want to put a little hole right at this end so that we can put a key ring in it. Make it a little easier to grab. This vise isn't the greatest. Here we go. These pins, luckily, they're not diamond hard metal, so they're not too hard to drill. longer than I wanted it to. Alright. And we'll be careful because that might be a little toasty. Yeah, not bad. Alright, we got a little burr on there. See if we can get rid of it. It's going to be annoying. I could go get a file, but you know, why do it that way when we could do it the hard way? I'm going to go get a file. You'd think I'd know where stuff is in here, being it's my toolbox, but being it's parked at my buddy's shop instead of mine, I don't get to use it as much as I'd like. Hey there, that was tough, wasn't it? Alright. Oh, yeah, and I left the key on. Even us experts make mistakes. Alright. That hole was for this little guy, because that's going to make it a lot easier to grab a hold of later. Alright, we got the pilot hole drilled. That should be the end of our 5/32 holes. Like I say, don't quote me on that. I think it was a 5/32, same size as the holes in the pin. Okay, now this one's going to be a 7/16 because I got a 7/16 pin, which once again isn't critical. It's a 3-inch long pin, that's critical, but the diameter, not so much. Alright, plastic, it's interesting stuff to work with. I'll probably take Mr. Pocket Knife here and clean up some of these burrs. Especially on the back side where these ribs are. It does some weird stuff when you drill it. And I tell you, I like this knife until the first time I cut myself with it. They're like a razor blade, and when they get dull, you just throw the blade away and get a new one. Yeah, it's a little off center, but it'll be alright. Alright, put Mr. Blade away. And we get our pin, make sure it fits. It's a little tight, but it fits. We'll ream it out. Okay, wiring pretty well out of the way. We'll be able to see through the hole to see if it isn't. Get this guy out of the way. Put this back on. Place bit in hole. Pretty straight shot. And once again, you got some mold marks down here that are going to help you find where to drill. And make sure we got everything lined up straight. Just got it going as straight as we can get it. Just make a mark. We're going to make sure we like where this is before we plumb put a hole in it. I say you got these mold lines here and here. You can just kind of center up between them. Feel underneath, make sure there's not anything that's going to be in the way. We're committed now. Cannot fear commitment when you go drilling holes in your bike. You can when you drill holes in your buddy's bike though. Alright, Now we're going to make sure our pin fits nice. Fits there, slides good. Fits there. A little tight. We'll ring the holes and get it to where it works good. But I think this one's going to come out better than mine did. Little waller. I hope this camera angle's working and I'm not missing all of this. Oh yeah, now she works smooth like butter. Alright. We're gonna take a brief refreshment break, check the footage, and we'll go on to the next step. Beverage. Okay, where were we? Alright, it's time to start putting this together. First thing you want to do, take some slip joint pliers and kind of crunch the ends of these guys. Crunch one end of them, each of them. Just kind of give them a little squish. Otherwise, they're going to give you a hell of a fight when you launch them halfway across the shop and lose them. I mean, when you try to get them in the holes. And if you have access to such things, you can grind on them a little bit too. Give them a little taper on the end. Just kind of turn and squish. They'll usually get a little taper to them. Just make sure they'll kind of start in these holes. That one doesn't really want to yet. These are not the same pliers I used to do mine. I think mine were a little bigger. They had a little more leverage to them. These ones want to fight. They want to put up a fight. And we'll do the other one and we'll see what happens. Might have to use a plan B there. Do got a vise right here too. Alright, now comes the part that's kind of tricky. You're going to need a rubber washer and two of these flat washers and a pin and these pliers. So I want to put the pin up through the hole. And we want a rubber washer. And that's probably not really necessary. I just figure then that way we don't got metal sitting on plastic. It'll help keep things from rattling, and it also kind of helps hold that pin in there while you're working on it. Also going to need Mr. Spring. So rubber washer, a metal washer. These ones are stainless, they don't have to be. Okay, then on mine I went in the 4th and 5th hole was where I put the pins. Make sure that slides nice. Put one hole in the 5th, one pin in the 5th hole and one in the 4th hole. And these can give you a little bit of a fight. I said if they're fighting you too bad, just grind a little taper on the end or squish them a little more. Takes a little finagling, but they'll go. A little patience, a little finesse. If you have striking good looks like me, it helps sometimes. Yeah, that sucker's gonna go right in there, just the way we like it. You just push this guy in until he's centered. When he comes out the other side, he's going to get hung up on your pliers, and he's going to get hung up on the washer. Watch your fingers in case you slip, because blood blisters suck. There we go. Alright, centered that guy up. Now we need the other pin. We're going to put it in the fourth hole. If the pin you happen to get is a little bit different, well, you might have to do a little figuring. You know, this is one of them projects we're kind of going to make up as we go, so little good old-fashioned basic mechanic skills, fabrication skills go a long way. Not having fat fingers goes a long way too. I don't remember which end of that I squished. Must be this end. No, that end's scratched. Yeah, I don't know. The other one went in. We'll see if we can get this one to go. Patience, patience, patience. Patience, as I said, patience. One of them projects where it'd be handy to have a third and fourth hand. Come on, get lined up, dang you. The other one went nice and easy. You could too. Maybe somebody will comment an easy trick to get roll pins started that I've never learned, other than squishing the end a little bit so that the cotton picking things start easier. There we go. See if that works a little better. Good to show these things though, because some of these videos I see, they make everything look so cotton picking easy. It's not always easy, you know. Figuring out some of this kind of stuff's what makes this stuff fun. It's a Zen experience if you think of it the right way. Right, we got her started. You know, it's fun to solve problems, figure things out. If you're one of those people that it's not fun to solve problems and figure things out, this is probably not the right motorcycle for you. Just my opinion. All right. We got her. Let's see, that washer's going to rub on that wiring, and that's why it's important that we get this stuff tied off to the sides. We get it routed out away from there. But we can test it and make sure it's going to work, and then I'll clean up them details. Okay, and then what I did on mine was I put another washer, which I don't know if this washer is going to work. I think it might be a little fatter than the one I had. These washers are stainless, which you don't have to have stainless. They were just the first ones I found. Alright, we put this on. Okay, I'm thinking maybe I just had the rubber washer on there. I think maybe the way to go, just the rubber one. Don't need that guy. That looks better. Alright. Heck, that works way better than mine. And that's basically it. You just got to put it back together I'm gonna button up this wiring and fix that license plate light, and then I will come back and kind of show the reassembly process, and we'll test it out, make sure it works. Record. All right, now we got the tedious part done. Delicious. Okay, now notice wiring tied back, drilled a couple holes here, zip tied it. This is actually better than mine, but you know, doing it for a paying customer. Now we're gonna take and you know what, before I even do that, I was gonna say we'll test fit it and then tie these wires up, but I'm not terribly worried about these wires not working, so let's go ahead and do that now. Bring all these guys up here to this little metal loopy bobber here that the Chinese bent around the wrong way. But I'm not going to take all this. Well, guess we don't have to. Yeah, it's just going to break off. Alright, we don't got to worry about that, because we've got Mr. Zip Tie. One Mr. Zip Tie. And two Mr. Zip Ties. Hey, looky there. Almost looks like a Japanese bike now. We do want to loosen these up just a smidge though, so that they don't pull themselves apart. There's a little slack. Yeah, see, pulled itself apart. Alright, everything else got a little slack in it. Yeah, we're good. Okay, let's do a little function test here real quick. We got license plate light. We got tail light. We got left turn. We got right turn. I won't be able to see this one, but hey, we got brake light. Key off. Alrighty. Now I have to put this fella back together. Right? Oh no, we gotta cut zip ties. We'll get there. We'll get there. Cut the zip ties off. Alright. I'll try this again. And I don't have a pair of those fancy little end cutters, so somebody's going to probably cut their finger on them zip ties someday. Hopefully it's not me. Alright. Gotta get this guy to go in the hole. Somehow, miraculously, because it wants to fight apparently. There we go. Okay. What are we squishing? We're squishing something. Must be those zip ties. Okay, latch works good. There it sits. We're not squishing anything now. Now these little dudes on mine kind of had this propensity for cross threading. We'll see if these ones want to go in nice and straight. And so far so good. Alright, once we get those started, we want to get this plastic piece sitting down on there nice how we want it. And those holes will fight you. As long as you can pop them on, you're good. The bolts will pull them together when you put them in. Okay, now it's together far enough. Yeah, it's going to keep popping off till I put the bolts in. Now it's together far enough, we can try the moment of truth. This is a little tricky at first. You get a feel for it after you do it a few times, for right where the little clips are that hold the seat. Kind of look here and see. Let's see, his little tab's bent a little bit. We might have to tune that up. I think the seat's not going ahead far enough to let it catch. We might have to tune on this one a little bit. Yeah, see, this has got a little tweak to it. A little bend and a little twist, and not to get too western with it. See if that maybe works a little better. This one's not wanting to latch, but it will. Believe me, it will. Because I say so. Okay, the front one's going on. It's lined up perfect. Acting like this pin isn't coming up far enough. See, now this one we might not be able to use that top roll pin. It's going to be a little different because what's going on? Is it not going ahead far enough? Or is it pin just not sticking up far enough? Wondering if the pin just isn't sticking up far enough. May have to take that rubber washer off. Ooh, actually, let's try that. Once again, this is a process, a little problem solving. We'll get it. Oh, looky there. Clicky, clicky. Reach under, pull the pin. Seat pops right off. Okay, so what we got to do, we've got to get that pin to come up a little higher. And there's a couple ways to make that happen. Or we might be able to bend this, actually, and make the seat sit down a little lower. Let's try that first. We'll straighten this back out. I'm thinking it might work just like that, because it naturally wants to go to there, so I think we'll be good. I think we'll be good right there. Okay, perfect. This one works better than mine. Okay, no it doesn't. You know what? I think I know what I did wrong. This is why everything takes me so long. This is how I work. What is it? Measure once, cut twice? Yeah. Pretty sure I know what I did. I went the one hole higher than I did on everything on mine. It's just Pabst, I'm telling you, BBR. Breakfast of champions. Alright. Thinking we need to go one hole lower. Thinking we need to go one hole lower. And this bike could be a little different than mine too. You know, we've seen the Chinese all right. And we're gonna hope that works a little better. Get our rubber washer and our plastic here. Hey, there it sticks up there good. Yeah, we should be in a little better shape. Yeah, that's how projects like this work, you know. It's just a little trial and error until everything fits and works right. You take a little pride in your work, have a little patience, and don't quit till it works. I'm not one of these that's going to try to convey that all this stuff just works like magic, you know. I'm not an engineer. I don't have this stuff designed on a computer and CAD or anything before I do it. Just kind of figure it out as you go. And if I was an engineer and I could figure things out in CAD before I do them, I'd probably have enough money I wouldn't be buying a bike like this. I'd just buy a Honda. Alright. Yeah, that guy got a little out of whack. Again, well, the GoPro was charging. Enjoyed a few libations. Alright, all I really did since the last installment, I just tweaked on this hook a little bit. Got everything to sit nice. Got it to where it clicks in good. There's, you know, a little bit of a trick to learning how to get this on. It's basically you look under here, make sure it's lined up, get the front hooks lined up, just kind of push down on this pin. And I mean, it's not perfect, it's not a factory thing, but it works. And at least your seat won't fall off if you got your bike in the back of a truck, or when you stand up to go over some rough terrain. But it's a little tricky getting all three of them to go in at the same time. But see, when you get it, it just works. The more you use it, the better you get at it. And then his, I actually remembered to put the I'm gonna have to loosen that back up, I got it a little too tight. I remembered to put the key ring on. Mine, I don't have the key ring on the bottom, so it's a little trickier to find. Get some mud under the fenders, it might get real sporting. So I may end up taking mine back apart and doing that. You've seen how fun it is to get those roll pins back out, so I'm not real anxious. There, it clicked in real nice. Right in all three. It's good. Pops right off. All right. I think we're ready to put her back together. This plastic back here, mine was the same way. It didn't want to stay. So just kind of get it popped over and get a bolt in it, and then it ain't going anywhere. There we go. Beverage. Just for the record, no, I'm not an alcoholic. I just like beer. Alcoholics go to meetings. I don't. I'm a drunk. Anyway. And the rest is, you know, pretty straightforward. I don't know, I might leave this part in for entertainment's sake. I might edit it out. See how much of a dork I look like when I watch it. The only reason I'm showing this part is because there's a little tip coming up here in a second. Once we get these fiddly little bolts back in. Alright, these rotten little rubber dudes that everybody gripes about being so hard to get back on. The trick is, all you need is a blunt and or pointy object. A punch would probably work better, but Phillips screwdriver works just fine. You just take and push on them with it. They usually go in pretty good. Mine did, at least. This one is gonna make a liar out of me, just watch. Just wiggle them a little bit. If that don't work, you might try spitting on them. You know, if you can't get it in, just spit on it. Works every time. And these ones are gonna put up a fight, I think. They are. They're gonna put up a fight. Yeah, just find the right spot to push. And we're planning on building some luggage racks for these bikes, so when we do that, we'll probably take the rubbers off anyway. I don't know, try a little lubrication here. When all else fails, try a little lubrication. Hey, there we go, they slip right in. And once they dry, hopefully with a little luck, they'll even stay. I hope the camera's getting this, because I can't see what it's seeing. Because I got it on my head. Okay, one down. There's the trick, Windex. Windex and a screwdriver. Ta-da! Like a glove. One of the best things about this mod is that once you got it to where you don't have to have your seat already on when you put these guys on, makes putting these guys on about 10 times easier. It's worth it just for that. That one. Well, I guess he did have his rubber washer in there. It just stayed. That's going to be one of my future mods. I'm going to figure out a way to make these side covers come off, on and off without tools. I don't know if I'm going to go with like Zeus fasteners or maybe magnets, or maybe some more little rubber grommets. I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna figure something out. When I do, I'll share it with everybody, because that's what it's all about. I'm not trying to make any money off any of this. I'm just a tinkerer, you know. That's why I bought one of these bikes. I like to tinker. If you buy one of these thinking you're getting that new bike experience, you're going to be disappointed. And if you buy one of these thinking of it as a project, they're a lot of fun. I like projects. I've built a few bikes, and hey, that's the train. You know, I've got an old Harley that I built from boxes of crap, and got an old Honda Magna that I've kind of been working my way through for the last couple summers, and I like projects. So these bikes are perfect for someone like me. Someone that don't know what they're doing, that thought they were buying a brand new bike they weren't going to have to touch. Well, they're in for a rude awakening and a great learning experience if they do it right. You know, they're probably not a great bike for beginners in some ways, and a perfect bike for beginners in other ways. You're going to learn all that basic motorcycle maintenance stuff, but on a bike with a not nearly as steep a learning curve as some, and not nearly as expensive a parts if you mess something up. So anyways, there it is. There's the seat latch. You know, don't really know what else to say about it other than this was a mod that I knew I was going to do before I even got my bike. I can't figure why they'd put this nifty little storage compartment under the seat with no way to get to it. It's a perfect place for tools, or I'm going to put a tire repair kit in mine. Little CO2 inflator. You know, you put all kinds of stuff. I mean, you could even cut the bottom out of this. Found a little plastic container that fit over it. You could extend this down. I mean, you get all kinds of room. This tire's not going to hit it. You could put this another inch or two lower. You have all kinds of room. You put your lunch in there. You know, I mean, you know, whatever the hell you want it. A baby. If you eat babies. Or, you know, I mean, your stash, or use it for, you know, trafficking illegals across the border. You know, you could have all kinds of storage in there. So anyways, there it is.